This is Tom Dillon, the Lifetime Liberal, and today is Monday, December 19th, 2016. This is in reference to Dr. Paul Krugman's article on Friday, December 16th, 2016, entitled Useful Idiots Galore. Now we know that Mr. Minority was helped quite a bit by the Russians in terms of the Russians hacking into DNC servers and releasing a lot of information which really didn't amount to much. But it was used by the right to go completely against Hillary, to go completely against the DNC. We know this hacking that did occur, and Mr. Minority cannot admit it in any way, shape, or form, because admitting that this actually happened would basically be for him and that party to acknowledge that he got help from a foreign entity and that perhaps his election was actually tainted. But at the same time, we know that based on the actions of Mr. Minority and his transition team, that he will be rewarding Russia in two ways. Number one, he's going to be appointing that, I think it's Tillerson, as Secretary of State if he gets through the Senate, who basically wants to get rid of the sanctions, number one, and then number two, wants to go back to that $500 billion to possibly $1 trillion deal with Russia to extract oil and possibly natural gas from the Arctic Circle, at the same time realizing that the only way for Russia to be self-sufficient, because the only thing they are as a petro-state is to continue to extract oil and natural gas. And this is at the point in time where we need to be actually extracting less and less. Make no mistake about it. Russia is a bad player. They need the oil. They need to sell it on the foreign market, and they need the price to be higher than it is today. And that's what Exxon wants also. So we have the Mr. Minority and his team, who are useful idiots to the Russians in all of this. And also the GOP and the media have been exceptionally complicit in all of this. They have been useful idiots in the sense that, remember, the Russians only leaked information that was detrimental to the Democrats. They had other information on the Republicans. And let's just say maybe they're holding that back right now because maybe that it'll become useful to them in the next president's term, let's say. And also that the Comey letter was a very political act. And let's remember that what the Russians did could be considered an act of war. So we need not to confuse what all of this is going on. Because what our friends on the Republican side are basically saying is, well, no. The Russians had nothing to do with it. It was just that Hillary ran a bad campaign. Well, let's make something very clear here. Almost all campaigns make mistakes all over the place, day in and day out. But can you really say that it was a mistake by Hillary to allow a foreign power to, commit subversion? There was subversion by a foreign power and by the FBI. How can you can blame a campaign for that? Remember, Comey had defined things from the Justice Department that you should not bring up political stuff that close to an election, and he elected to do that. And remember, all of this stuff worked against Hillary, because the final outcome of the election was that basically three states, Michigan, Wisconsin, and Pennsylvania, which were decided by less than 80,000 votes, that there was a large swing towards Mr. Minority in the last couple days of the election after the Comey letter came out. And the Russians were working furiously to continue to bring out bad stuff against the Democrats and Hillary especially. And at the same time, remember that saying that Hillary ran a bad campaign still had nothing to do with the fact that we knew that there was Russian interference for up to a year before. And then we also know that Trump specifically, what was it, in July of this year, specifically asked the Russians to hack into Hillary's server, and the media basically said zip about all of this. And remember, all the GOP basically said zip about all of this. So there are useful idiots all over the place. So remember one other thing, that while one portion of the FBI was out there chasing all of the Hillary emails in the server and all of this stuff, and they found absolutely zip, nothing whatsoever. Remember, this was, again, another contrived, right-wing, made-up, contrived thing. Because there was nothing ever there. There was, no hacked emails, and no stuff that was sent out that had the top secret all over it, etc. It was all contrived. At the same time, a version of the FBI, a rogue element in New York, was dripping all this stuff to Rudy Giuliani, putting it out there. And at the same time, that when the FBI at another bureau, another section, found out about the fact that the DNC was getting hacked well over a year ago. They were at 9th and Pennsylvania Northwest, and the DNC was at like 1st and Constitution, or 1st and North Capitol Street, less than a mile away. They couldn't even be bothered to go down there and talk to someone significant. They basically called and were referred to the help desk, and the help desk didn't even know if this was just a prank or something else. That's how the FBI considered this. And we know that the signature of those hackers was well known to the intelligence community, and the intelligence community passed it on to the FBI, and the FBI basically did dick. So, we have a lot of useful idiots galore in all of this. And are we going to keep perpetuating our complicity in all of this? Or are we going to stand up and we're going to resist, and we're going to say that Mr. Minority, there was a tainted election, okay, and that the media's got to cut out this complicity, and anyone who is backing Trump, saying that he ran a great campaign, that he wanted fair and square, no, that's not going to jive anymore.